Hi, I'm John with Orange ModWorks, and in this series of videos I'll be going over how to install the various springs we have available in our store. There'll be some tips and tricks and just some general guidelines with spring installation. Alright, in this video I'm going to go over spring installation for the Spectre and the Maverick. Starting with the Spectre. I already have the screws taken out, and so once you have your screws taken out, remove the shell, like so. Watch out for the priming bar, don't lose that, and if you can see this, it's hooked in this spring, which returns the slide when you prime the blaster, so make sure when you reassemble that you hook that spring again. So remove your priming bar and the other handle. Now this blaster has one of our old test springs, and I'm going to replace it with a shiny new aftermarket spring. So remove the old spring and slide on the new spring. It's pretty straightforward in this blaster. And it sits, it's sort of like a mini Recon back here. It's just the spring sits right there, and the plunger passes completely through the spring to this window here that serves as a priming indicator. So you have to make sure the spring coils are behind the plastic here, not like that. Like this, your blaster won't prime. So work it. It has to be in behind, like so. And from here, it's pretty straightforward. You reassemble. So take your priming handle, insert it, loop the return spring, and reinsert the priming bar. If you can do this without removing all of these pieces, it's a lot simpler. And if you need to do an AR removal, the cylinder comes freely just like the Maverick, and it unscrews. So put the other half of your shell together. Try not to let this fall out, but if it does, I don't know if you can see the black spring in there, just re-hook that spring with the priming bar. Put your handle on, and you're good to go. Always function check before you put all your screws together. There you go. Of course, I don't recommend dry firing, but I should have put darts in there. So make sure you have darts in your blaster when you function check. I'm going to set that aside, and we're going to go to the Maverick. The Maverick is always a little more complicated. Not necessarily, I mean, installing the spring isn't more complicated, but getting your, if you mod the cylinder to remove the air restrictors, getting this together just right is pretty tricky, so keep that in mind when you're working with Mavericks. You can see the trigger catch assembly here is a two-piece assembly with a spring that goes here. Many people install a stronger trigger catch spring to make it a little more reliable. So take your aftermarket spring, remove the trigger catch, put the spring in the trigger catch, and drop it in, and then seat your trigger catch. I'm going to use one of our double strength trigger catch springs, which actually compared to the Maverick spring is about the same. It's just a little bit longer, so you'll have a preload on that trigger catch. Like that. From there, we would drop the cylinder in. I actually do not have an assembled cylinder. And just like the Spectre, you have to hook this priming handle return spring. So when you prime your blaster, the priming handle, or the slide, returns back to its forward position. And make sure your plunger is seated in front of this plastic shelf. Not like this, like this. And that holds this in place during priming. Alright, and that's it for these two blasters. Thanks for watching.